and Georg. They are considered as father of modern political pluralism. Then Lasky, McIver, Lindsay, Barker. You will have to explain opinion of these scholar, and the latest one is the Mish-Follett. Latest one is the Mish-Follett. Then next dimension, E point of your format, sovereignty in the modern nation state. Sovereignty in the modern nation state. F point is conclusion. In this way, your topic will proceed. Right? In this way, your topic will proceed. Now, first of all, we will develop the fundamental concept, basic concept of sovereignty. What is meaning of the term sovereignty? First of all, develop the basic concept, then it will be easy for us to make you understand. Then sovereignty. Sovereignty is derived from Latin word super-annus, which means supreme power. Of state. The basic controversy is where this supreme power of state is lying, right? Now, say for an instance, in this context, you must distinguish between, say, society and a state. Then, what is a state? We will call only that institution as a state which has 4 elements. Say state. It includes 4 elements, that population, territory, government, and sovereignty. What is a state? Say, a state should consist of 4 elements. One is population. Then how many population? This is the question. 1 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 1 lakh people, 2 lakh people, 1,000 lakh people, 1 million people, 2 million people, 1 billion people, as in case of the country like India and China, where we have billion plus population, right? Then what should be the minimum and maximum population of a state? Then again we have controversy. There is no any fixed rule. Say for an instance, ancient political thinker Plato stated in an ideal state population should not be 5,040, And in which way on what ground, why did he say that in ideal state population should be 5040? I don't know, because even Plato did not give any justification of the figure 5040. Right? In an ideal state, population should be 5040 according to Plato. Why did he say so? I don't know, because even he did not give any justification in this context. So far as Aristotle is concerned, he stated it should be manageable. Now, what is meaning of the term manageable? Population should be manageable, I don't know. Right. Manageable, you may interpret the term manageable like all the requirement of the people should be met in the particular territory. Right. This is my interpretation. And once Aristotle stated that manageable means from one place you can see the entire country, from one place. Then what will be the length and breadth? What is your visibility? Right? What is your visibility? We have very limited visibility. In case of Chashmalli like Priyansi, Chashmalli like Kriti, right? Kriti, Chashmalli like Rohit. If we remove their aspect, then their visibility will be even less, right? Then visibility will be even less. That according to Aristotle, that you can see the entire territory from one place. Then you can understand. Are you getting my point? Then it will be a small city-state. Similarly, ancient Indian scholar Kautilya stated in an ideal state. In an ideal state, there should consist of 80 gramas, 80 villages, 80 gramas in an ideal state. But at the same time, he talked about Akhand Bharat. During those days, Akhand Bharat, integrated India, constituted modern day Afghanistan, and to the Himalaya, including Nepal, right? And South India, modern South India, and modern South India, modern West India, modern East India. This was the concept of integrated India, right? Akhand Bharat. So my point is, but at the same time he stated that in an ideal state there should consist of 80 gramas. Clear? And usually what happens, even in modern village we do not have population more than 1000 or 2000 in our village. True? 1000 or 2000, not more than that. 80 villages, say 80,000 population. Right? 80,000 population, more than 1 lakh population. But at the same time, he talks about the integrated India as well. Modern scholar like Rousseau, he says in an ideal state population should be 10,000. Right? But in modern state, we have millions of population. In our state, say, don't say millions, but even more than billion population in our state like India and China, right? Population is one of the elements of a state, right? And how many population? If you ask me this question, I don't know. Now, another element is population, where population will live, where people will live. Like people like Ayush may live in the sky as well. Right? But for the common people like us, it is necessary to live on the land only. Yes, Ning, am I right? Do you live on the land or in the sky?
Half of.
See. And we will live on the land only. The land is necessary for a state, right? Then what will be the area of the land, length and breadth of the state, territory of the state? It is not enumerated anywhere in political science, right? This should be the length and breadth of a state, and this much should be area of the state. It is not enumerated anywhere in political science. But if we have population, then population will live on the land, so land is necessary. We have the exceptional population, as he stated. I live in the sky, then he may be a great person. He is not a human being like us, right? He is superhuman being, and you may call him God as well, right? Incarnation of God on the earth is our Ning. Now, where population will live? On the earth, on particular territory. What should be length and breadth of the territory? It is not enumerated. Right? The next aspect is government. I am not talking about a democratic government, socialist government, communist government, fascist government, Nazist government, monarchical government, dictatorial government, but there must be a government which will regulate the population, which will regulate the people. For that purpose, population is necessary. Certain rules and regulation is necessary. And for that purpose, there must be a government. Are you getting my point? For that purpose, there must be a government. And I am not talking about which forms of government, democratic or autocratic, non-democratic, but there must be a government to regulate the human being. Are you getting my point? That is the next dimension. Right. The next one is sovereignty. That government should be supreme. That government should not be subject to any other government. That government should not follow dictation of other government. And in this context, there is very good quotation of Austin. Austin says, regarding the monistic theory of sovereignty, Austin says, if a human superior, is not in habit to follow the like superior, and bulk of the people of the state follow him by habit, then the society, including the superior, is sovereign and independent. What is sovereignty? What did Austin say? If a determinate human superior, ultimate, where ultimate power is lying? Determinate, fixed, human superior like Ayush, right? Not in the Almighty God, Bhagwan, Khuda, Allah Ta'ala, no. Where sovereignty is lying? Fixed and determinate, human superior like Ayush. True? Ayush is fixed. Can we touch Ayush? Pakka? Or is he invisible?
Electric shock.
No. We can touch Ayush, right? And can you touch the Almighty God? No. So, if a determinant, fixed, human superior, like Ayush, say like Narendra Modi, right? Fixed and determinant human superior, say Narendra Modi, is not in habit to follow the like superior. The like means say Xi Jinping, say Vladimir Putin, say Joe Biden, right? And Narendra Modi is not in habit to follow the like superior, and bulk of the people means maximum number of people of the society, say bulk of the people of India, bulk of the people of China follow Xi Jinping by habit, bulk of the people of Russia follow Vladimir Putin by habit, bulk of the people of the USA follow Joe Biden by habit, bulk of the people of India follows Narendra Modi by habit. That habit, not under compulsion, not under force. Because you think whatever law framed by Narendra Modi is right. Willing obedience. Right? Bulk of the people follows him. Him means here Narendra Modi, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, Joe Biden, etc. Follows him by habit. Then the society means here Indian society, Chinese society, Russian society, American society. Then the society, including the individual like Ayush, say PM Modi, right, is sovereign and independent, right? Because PM Modi is not subject to follow the like superior. Clear? This is Austin's notion. And what is law? According to Austin, what is law? Law is command of superior to inferior. According to Austin, what is law? Command, order of superior to inferior. That is law. Getting my point? No problem. Then if any territory has these four elements, population, territory, government and sovereignty, then we will call it a state. Like usually we use the term India consists of 28 states. This is wrong. India consists of 28 provinces. This is right in the sense of political sense. India is one state. Our UP, Bihar, MP, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala government are not sovereign. They are subject to order of the central government. Otherwise, with the help of Article 356 of the Constitution, that government can be terminated. Right? True? So we have only one state, but nobody can terminate the government of India. Right? Then sovereignty. And we have only 28 provinces, not a state. Are you getting my point? In language of political sense, therefore it is wrong to use the term India consists of 28 states, but 28 provinces and 8 union territories. Clear? This is the right term. You have already understood the meaning of the term sovereignty, because in these all 28 states there is no sovereignty, right? No sovereignty at all. Clear? No problem? Pakka? Sure? Have you understood? Then we have two dimensions of sovereignty as well. See, under the dimensions of sovereignty, one is internal dimension and another one is external dimension. Chief exponent of internal dimension of sovereignty is Bodin, and external dimension is Grotius, Hugo Grotius. Hugo Gross, yes. Now question arises, what is internal sovereignty? Right. According to Bodin, that within the political sovereignty, within the political boundary, all the individual institution organization is subject to rule, subject to order, subject to law of the sovereign. Right? What did I say? Internal sovereignty means that the sovereign may control every individual, association, organization within the state. None of the institution, organization, individual is above the law of the sovereign, above the order of the sovereign. Are you getting my point? No problem? Above the order of the sovereign. Everybody, including Ayus, whatever law framed by the sovereign Ayus must follow the same. Right? Then internal sovereignty. External sovereignty means sovereign state, say like India, theoretically speaking, according to Grotius, that is empowered to maintain any type of relation with any other countries of the world. India may develop friendly relation with China, may maintain neutrality with China, may develop animosity with China. So it is up to India. Right? It is up to India. India may maintain neutrality with China, friendly relation with China, animosity with China. It is up to India. But theoretically speaking, but in practice it is not true. We have so many international economic and political organization that regulates affair of each and every sovereign nation state, because we cannot live in isolation. If we are living together, on that case we will have to follow the instruction of others. Right? We will have to take into account the concern of others. Right? But theoretically speaking, externally, the sovereign nation state is sovereign, independent, free to maintain any type of relation with any part, with any other states of the world. Clear? No problem. Have you understood? This is the sovereignty. Right? This is what we call sovereignty. No problem? Again, internal sovereignty means within the territory, within the state, स्टेट के अंदर सभी इंडिविजुअल इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज सब्जेक्ट टू द कमांड ऑफ द सोवरेन. समझ रहे हो? इज सब्जेक्ट टू कमांड ऑफ द सोवरेन विद इन द स्टेट. क्लियर? Externally, the sovereign state may maintain any type of relation with the external world, with other nations. Clear? No problem? External sovereign. Theoretically speaking, but in practice it is not true. Right? This is meaning of the term sovereignty. Right? Now, in the context of development of the sovereignty, during ancient period, first of all, Aristotle used the term supreme power for sovereignty. Right? Aristotle used the supreme power for the term sovereignty. Clear? But he did not use the term sovereignty at all. The term sovereignty first of all used by Bodin, right? Jean Bodin. And during the medieval period, who is supreme authority? There was controversy between supremacy of church and monarch. Right? During medieval period, controversy arose between church and monarch. Controversy related to sovereignty during medieval period. During medieval period. The controversy was related to supremacy of church and monarch, church and king, right? And church was considered as intermediary between God and devotee. Church was intermediary between, say, God and common people. Church was, say, intermediary link between God and common people. Like according to Hindu tradition, Pandit Ji is considered as intermediary between God and devotee. Similarly, in Islam, Maulvi Sahab, Qazi Sahab are considered as link, mediator between God and devotee, or say the common people, right? Say, your marriage cannot be solemnized without consent of Pandit Ji, if you are Hindu, without consent of Qazi Sahib, if you are Muslim, and without consent of church father, right? Then, according to Christian tradition, right, there was one evil in the church prevailing during the medieval period, that you have committed any crime, you went to the church and in the confession box you have confessed, my father, I have committed this mistake. And church father used to give the confession letter, right? And once you got the confession letter, you became free from all type of sin. Am I right?
Once in a year.
Okay, no issue. Okay. I will not go to the church 365 days after committing everyday crime, or say I will commit crime 365 days. On 365th day I will go to the church and confess in front of the Father, in front of the Almighty, that I have committed this type of mistake, right? And then against this type of prevailing evil, whatever evil tradition was prevailing in the church against the evil, one revolt was made by Martin Luther, right? And that led to establishment of another sect in Christian community. Right? I'm not going to teach you about the philosophy of Luther and evil tendency prevailing in the church or temple or mosque, etc. I'm not going to elaborate those things. Simply my intention is to let you know that these so-called spiritual community, I will use the term so-called spiritual community, say Pandit Ji, Purohit Ji, Maulvi Sahab, Qazi Sahab, Church Father, etc. They are the a spiritual community, and their profession is related to spiritualism, right? Now my point is, they were linked between the god and devotee, right? You cannot go to heaven without certain rituals are performed by Panditji, right? Panditji performing certain rituals. Only then you will go to the heaven, not otherwise, right? Otherwise you will go to the hell perhaps, right? Without, therefore it is necessary that Panditji must perform certain rituals. Similarly, Maulvi Sahab, Qazi Sahab are performing certain rituals. Only then you will go to the Jannat, otherwise you will go to Jahannam. So do good work, you will go to the Jannat, and there you will get 72 hoors, right? 72 hoors. Do good work, then you will go to heaven, there you will get Menka, Rambha, Apsara, right? And do good work, only then you will go to the heaven or paradise. And what we will get in paradise, like in the Islamic tradition, 72 hoors, and Hindu tradition like Paris, like Apsara, Pari, Rambha, Menka, etc. And according to Christian tradition, if I go to paradise, then what I will get?
Everlasting happiness.
Everlasting happiness. And in which way I will get the everlasting happiness? In which way? Would you elaborate? Would you elaborate in which way I will get the everlasting happiness? With the help of fools? With the help of Paris? Or something other thing like delicious food, delicious cloth, or something other thing? Do you know? You don't know? No. But
All related same, all the religions.
okay, no issue at all.
Be happy.
Here my point is, what is my concern here? That a spiritual authority like Purohit, even in India, that coronation function of different kings are performed by Purohit, right? Purohit used to put crown on the head of the king, right? Coronation function. In this way, that the king received a spiritual power with the help of Purohit, right? Similarly, under the Islamic tradition, that this coronation function was performed by Qazi Sahab. Similarly, in Christian tradition, this coronation function was performed by Pope. First time in the European history, this tradition was broken by Napoleon Bonaparte, right? And when the church father was supposed to put crown on the head of Napoleon Bonaparte, he stated that crown of France was lying on the mud. With help of my sword, with the help of my sword, I keep it up. Then why I will give opportunity anyone to put this on my head? Right. This tradition was first of all broken by Napoleon Bonaparte. Clear? In this sense, church father was superior to the king during the medieval period. Now to counter, in this sense, church father was sovereign, Pope was sovereign, enjoying ultimate power, right, during medieval period. To counter this notion, Then the monarch developed another theory that is called the theory of two swords. Sorry, during this period, one theory emerged, the theory of two swords. The theory of two swords. What is the meaning of the term? The theory of two swords. The Almighty God has given one sword to Pope and another sword to monarch. Right? One sword to Pope and another sword to monarch. And what is function of Pope or say church is to look after the spiritual matter. A spiritual matter and look after the mundane affairs. Mundane affairs. Spiritual affairs and mundane affairs. Right. Mundane affairs means worldly affairs, economic affairs. Now again, if I raise this controversy in the classroom, then which affair is superior? Mundane affairs or spiritual affairs? Yes? Yes, Ning?
Spiritual, 100%.
Spiritual, right? Yes, mundane affairs. Don't want you to go to heaven? No. There is no scope at all, right? Yes, which way?
Spiritual.
See, spiritual people of our classroom, right? Yes. See, here again we have controversy, right? But even today, if you ask to the so-called auspicious people, they will say spiritual matter is superior to the economic matter, worldly affairs. Spiritual affairs is superior to worldly affairs, materialistic affairs, right? Even if you ask today to the